Billie Lee, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
We only met before at the Ice House.
Yeah.
Yes, you seem very more calm today. Are you tripping out? Talk to me.
Well, was I performing at the Ice House that time?
You were more like...
Well, I probably had wine, and I was probably like a little bit more nervous because I was about to perform.
No, but you were more crazy then. You're more subdued now.
Probably because I've been alone all day, just chilling and writing. I've been working on my new book, so I've been isolating and just writing for 12-hour days.
Really? Now, I talked to our mutual friend, and they said you wanted to do this pod.
Yeah, he messaged me, and I said I would love to.
Do you know anything about me?
I mean, obviously, I know you're a comedian and an actor.
Mm-hmm. I go deeply controversial.
Oh, I heard that you're pro-Trump.
Yes.
Oh, God.
Well, I wanted to ask you simpler stuff first, but we can just go right into that. What do you? So I'm pro common sense,
Mm-hmm.
but we'll get into that. But I think that's another. We'll go into that.
Okay.
But so how you're 40 years old?
40, yeah.
And I wanted to ask you this, but then I was told, let's cut it out if you don't.
Yeah.
Your real first thing was on Vanderpump.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you did a season of that.
I did 2 seasons, and then I left. And then I made some appearances in the last season, just helping out a friend. But I quickly regretted that as well.
You did.
Yeah, reality TV is not for me, and I don't like how someone can have control over your edits. And with comedy, it's you have control.
Yes.
I love that. And I just feel more confident as a trans woman than I ever have because I'm doing comedy. But then when I first started Vanderpump, I was living stealth before, so I wasn't telling people.
Stealth is under the radar.
Yeah.
Got
and
it.
I was just telling people that I was cis, and which is the opposite of trans.
Can you explain the word cis to me? Because I never really knew it. I really want you to educate me.
Well, you identify with the gender you were born with, right?
Yes.
So you are cis.
I'm going to be really blunt, and this is why I want to have you on, because this is such an intense topic, and I want to talk to you and people that you identify with so we can educate the masses.
Yeah.
Because I'm all about it. I'm all about everybody feeling good and having a good time. And I think there's just so much unforgiveness on this stuff, and it's really annoying. And it's there's mistakes on both sides.
Yeah.
And so I was born with a penis.
Mm-hmm.
I identify as a guy with a penis. That's how I was raised.
So you're cis.
Cis. Why is it called cis?
I don't know.
mean?
I don't think it's I don't know exactly. I just know that is the word that describes you.
Yeah. Is CIS or SIS?
CIS.
Okay. Cis.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then, so it's just the opposite of trans.
Which is kind of funny that it's cis, because hey, cis, but I got PP.
Yeah, I know. You're definitely not my cis.
Billy. So wait, okay, so I identify as that, and then you said, I don't know, you're talking about what you identify as and what you're born as.
Oh, stealth.
Oh, stealth.
Yes. So and when I stopped being stealth after a few years, I went into Vanderpump. So it was just a challenging time for me personally.
Does stealth mean that you've already transitioned and then no one knows it?
Yeah.
So when you say you transitioned, because I always tell people that I grew up right outside of Philly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know if you know anything about the city, but it's very artistic. My sister's an artist. She's a painter.
Yeah, I've done shows there.
Yeah, so we've always had, and tell me I don't want to make you mad, but we always had trans, we was, it was dudes that were like wear clothes and stuff, more cross-dressing, but I didn't expect them, so maybe they did get the surgery. But it was always, I was a kid, my sister was an artistic person, so she would have all walks of life.
Yeah.
And it was normal to see a dude that was dressed like, you're different because you've completely transitioned, but like he was still a man. So does that mean that, or does that mean fully done and then you just don't tell anybody?
I medically transitioned.
So you met it, okay?
Yeah.
So you did the whole thing. So you never told anybody.
Yeah, and my therapist at the time, because you do have to go to therapy before you medically transition. You have to get that approved by a therapist.
Which is healthy. How long?
For 2 years.
Really? Is that a state law? Or
I believe it was, yeah, before I could.
And what state?
In California.
Wow. Now that's something I never knew.
2012.
Okay.
Is when I medically transitioned. But I started hormones at a very, probably 19 or 20. And you have to stay on hormones for a long time just because your body shifts, your face is shifting, things are transforming on their own. So it's best to wait to have surgery. Also, it's expensive, so it took me a while to get there.
So I'll start slow. What point did you decide, from what age, if you can remember?
So when I was young, I was very feminine. And my parents, a lot of shame that came from my childhood was people mistaked me as my parents' daughter. And they would have to constantly correct them, this is my son. It's not my daughter.
Did you look feminine?
Yeah.
Okay. Androgynous?
I just was very feminine. The way I acted, presented myself, I loved everything feminine. But I knew something was wrong whenever there was an Easter egg hunt, when you're little. And I won a golden egg. I found a golden egg and I won a prize. And there was this massive tent with boy toys and all boy stuff. And there was a massive tent of all girl stuff. And I had my eye on this pink bike. And I just couldn't wait to get to this pink tent. And my dad walked me past the pink tent and made me get something from the boys' tent. And I threw a fit. I was so upset. But that's the moment. I think I was 6 that I knew I was different and knew that there was, what society, what my parents taught me was there was something wrong with me. So it was at a very young age that I knew. And then every time I tried to listen to society and try to give in to society and try to be more masculine. I remember I went to school for journalism, radio, TV, and film. And they said, if you want to be a reporter, you have to start in a small market, which is a small town. Mm-hmm. Every time I leaned to the masculine side, suicidal thoughts would come back. So in college, I shaved my head. I started wearing suits because I couldn't get a job being very feminine in a small market, a small town. And every time I did that, I was going against everything that I felt inside. And that's when the depression would come back. So when people say, and Harper did this whole documentary, it's on Netflix with Will Ferrell. Mm-hmm. And Will Ferrell asked her, are you happier now? And she was like, absolutely. You literally are so much happier when you decide to live how you feel on the inside. It's it's life-changing and it can save your life. So that's one thing I think it's really hard for us when people don't support people transitioning or affirming their gender. It's really hard because it really is life or death for a lot of people.
I mean, that's very beautiful. That just that just spoke to me.
Good.
And I think the way that you tell that story, though, you seem how can I say this without, I'll just say it and figure it out. But there are people that are using the movement and are cosplaying. Do you agree with that?
Give me an example.
I can feel the pain in your voice. I can feel the pain behind your eyes. You needed to do this.
Yeah.
And you are 100% what you just said. You were a child who literally was born that you felt with every fiber in your being in the wrong meat suit.
Yeah.
So you went. And I think you did everything the way I would agree to it. Like, you started after you're an adult. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things I push back on is, I don't think anyone under 18 should do stuff until they're legal. Now, how do you feel about that?
I understand where people come from because you are still growing. And, even with like a cis woman, cis girl, she's 16, she wants to get a boob job. It's like, you're not finished growing. Like, I can wrap my head around how you think and a lot of other people think. However, I also think that if I was able to start hormones at a younger age, it would have saved me so much pain and suffering. And that's like electrolysis, like just so much things that like I would have had to get so much facial feminization. Like, my nose was more prominent because, and here's the thing too. Do you remember when you went through puberty?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm sure a lot of dudes who enjoy their male body, when they go through puberty, they're like, yeah, like shit's growing. Like, you feel more manly.
Mm-hmm.
When I had puberty as a boy, I felt like a monster was like destroying my body because I didn't like it. I didn't want to be more masculine. And it was very, very hard for me. And if I could have avoided that, and even if it was no surgery, it was just hormones or something, that would have really helped me in the long run. But I understand people have their opinions, it's like, it's hard when it's children. However, I think it's up to the parent and up to the child. I don't think it should ever be up to the government. And, Trump says teachers and schools are, paying for or making these surgeries happen for kids. They can't even afford school lunches for these kids. Like, no one's paying for any surgeries. I think it should be up to the parents and the kids, no matter what.
Yeah, it should be the parents and the children's decision.
Right, but I don't think there should be a law that's like you have to be 18.
Well, you said something that really just affected you, like a monster is growing inside me. That's really that's a perfect way to say that, because that's what you felt. You felt like you were being overtaken by something that was not you and eating you.
Yeah,
that's that's beautifully dark. You know what I'm saying? So, like, that was effective that you just said that.
Yeah.
I want to stay focused, but what you just said, I don't know the exact law, but I do believe Gavin Newsom either passed a law, is trying to pass a law that students, but I should be fact-checked in the comments, can go to the teachers and they can start some sort of thing without their parents' knowledge.
It's nothing medical, but they are allowed to say, I identify as this. These are my pronouns. And I don't want my parents to know for my safety. Like that, but not like I want to start hormones and have surgery and they do it without their parents knowing. That's not the case at all.
Okay. See, my thing is this, again though, but you're here you are, you're educating me. Okay. But my thing is, it's this area of like, what's the age, right? Because when you're a young child, you identify as many things. You have fun. You know what I'm saying? There were kids in my class. There's tomboys. There's dudes that are great dancers. There, you know what I'm saying? There's girls that can throw footballs. So the whole thing, I think that people sometimes believe is like, once you make that choice, you can't go back. Do you know what I mean? So you have to have the right mindset. Now, there are actors. This is a very different thing, who like emancipate themselves sometimes at 15 and they're legal adults. So my question is, I guess for you're okay with under 18. I just
think it's up to the parents and the child to figure that out.
But how young?
And it could be as simple as taking blockers. So the testosterone is not raging through their body. And that is not permanent. Like, you literally could stop taking those and the testosterone will will happen. They didn't have surgery and nothing was permanent, but it's something that could really help that person, especially their mental health, and save their life. And I just think that the government shouldn't decide on that. It should be between the child and the parent. And if you don't have a child that's trans or having those thoughts, then it's none of your business.